Alright, how's it going, my magnificent sons of bitches? And I've decided to come back today because I wanted to go ahead and do a video for you and talk about the Democrat Party. Understand, I'm going to go ahead and make a video on the Republican Party as well. I'm going to tell you the discrepancies. Well, not the Republicans, but mainly the MAGA Party. The Republicans have their own little fucking issues, but right now let's just go ahead and assume that it's the MAGA Party. Ultimately, the MAGA Party is the real Democrat Party. These posers that are progressives are not the Democrat Party. You can look at the networks that we have here on YouTube and Twitter and all these other sites that are utterly fucking collapsing. There's almost no traffic on Facebook. So there's no real way to market anything really anymore on the internet. Like you used to when we were going and doing our things here on YouTube, Facebook. There's really, like I said, for the most part, whenever I look at YouTube, I see a bunch of gatekeepers who are very disinteresting. They can't put the same kind of effort into their work. They can't put the same material. They can't question any real authority. So when you look at their videos, they're, somewhat lackluster because you can't say shit anymore on YouTube. They could possibly get you suspended and shit. So I meant the quality has kind of went down. But there's a reason why I have this picture up here specifically, and I'll go ahead and address that towards the end of the video. But with that being said, we take a look going into 2024 election, and the Democrat Party has been the party of shit probably since the 1900s, 1912, whenever fucking Woodrow Wilson got in. It was probably the Democrat Party probably dilapidated into a gelatinous ball of fucking shit rolling downhill. So, I wanted to go ahead and explain exactly what the discrepancies were for this party and explain how this party isn't the Democratic Party, it's not at all, and get into exactly what this party is. So, first off, when you take a look at this progressive movement, it was probably around way before then, but from what I can recall, where it, in my personal life, it originated here in Texas with a person called Ann Richards. She was our governor at the time. And the only reason that she ended up, becoming governor is because of some out of context comments by the person she was running against named Clayton Williams. So ultimately, that was the first person that I knew that was pushing the progressive philosophies. You take into account of Hillary Clinton and stuff like that. She was buddy with the Clintons back then, and so on and so forth. So you look at them, right? First off, the Democrats. Okay. When you look at the Republicans, you can go ahead and put off the whole centralization of our government and D.C. having so much control and being a centralized, unit right there of a governing body of that centralizing capital. You can put that on the Republicans respectfully. If you're a Democrat, you can totally throw that on the Republicans as why, they ultimately failed the country for the most part. Ultimately, it was Abraham Lincoln that went ahead and inspired both fascism and communism in reality. And that's for a whole other fucking video. So you can go ahead and throw that onto the Republicans as a whole. But whenever you go down the lineage of the Democrats all the way back from Andrew Jackson and the Trail of Tears, they really haven't had the greatest of fucking reputations at all. And so we come back in today, and we have to look at what are the fruits are you going to get out of the Democrat Party? You know what I'm saying? What are they contributing to society? As a voter, what are you getting out of this? So their first policy, right, is this new monetary theory policy, right? There's no telling how many of these, and they're teaching these in these institutions, mind you. And it's stupid. It doesn't work. It's absolutely fucking garbage. Why anybody would be teaching this as any kind of curriculum is beyond me. But ultimately, they have convinced these progressive super enlightened, highly educated, sophisticated college students that pay $80,000 to go to a 4-year institution, which you've really got to question life choices. I'm going to get into that in and of itself. That'll be another rant. That this new monetary theory, that we could just go ahead and print as much money as we need and use it to pay off our debts, and it's still going to act the same. You cannot get these people to understand that if you print out more money and you have more money in the economy and you don't have the same amount, the product isn't fucking increasing with that amount of money, more money chasing less product is going to make the price of that product go up. You understand what I'm saying? Because there's more dollar bills chasing less of the product. And this is kind of where we're at right now. We see this a lot. You get a lot of these people that come into your jobs. They're entitled. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to work. Everything is slave labor. And you can't get any kind of real productivity out of them. And this is ultimately these progressives in a nutshell. And it's certainly not conducive for our country. So, with that being said, we have them pushing this new monetary theory. They've convinced these people that we could just print our way out of fucking debt, and that's fucking stupid. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And in fact, it's so laughable that even a third grader probably has more understanding of the economy right now than a Harvard graduate that went to political science. You got to question these people who go into these fields. Look at what they're creating. Basically, essentially, you're only going to college to learn how to steal. And you want to go ahead and take up my tax dollars to go ahead and subsidize your damn degree that isn't worth the paper that it's fucking printed on. And if you're dumb enough to pay $80,000 for a now I'm not talking about doctors and lawyers. I understand you need degrees. Those are critical infrastructures. If you're going to be a pilot, yeah, I want you to go to school and learn how to fly the plane before you get in a damn cockpit and drive it straight into the ground. I understand. There are certainly a lot of alternatives. If you're not studying medicine, if you're not studying any of these things, that you could go ahead and achieve a degree in the shit that you liberal arts major shit, lesbian dance theater arts bullshit that you do. You can go ahead and do an internship. You can get into the military. They'll go ahead and subsidize a lot of the shit that you might be interested in. You can take correspondence courses. Hell, you can learn just about anything you want to online. Certainly not going into any one of these institutions is probably not going to do you, because we see the product coming out of these institutions is not of high value. Essentially, all you're doing is fucking begging for money. You're demanding taxpayers subsidize everything for you. Oh, you'll have somebody like Nina Turner, who is certainly not fucking qualified for the position that she pretended to fucking hold. And I believe that, these little taco stuffers like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, we're doing a new great deal and shit that she does. I don't believe that they're actually legitimate. I don't believe that they're in any real legitimate... There's no way that these people are in legitimate positions of power. But you listen to them fucking sling the fucking bullshit that they sit there and sling. And it's absolutely fucking laughable. A lot of us are probably more qualified to do their jobs than they are. And they're not going to take the job seriously. They're not going to do the job seriously. You have Nina Turner out there. Everybody needs a livable wage. The only fucking problem with that, you Klingon-looking motherfucker, is that whenever you go ahead and raise that wage up to $15 an hour, you're not helping the motherfuckers that are making $10 an hour succeed in life. You're only fucking the motherfuckers that ended up making $15 an hour and working their way up. A lot of those people are not going to be able to go ahead. They're not going to be able to subsidize that. You understand what I'm saying? So if you would just please go back to your little Jehovah's Witness fucking convention that you do, cook the fried chicken, and shut the fuck up, and, we'll all be good there, Nina. So, nobody gives a shit what your geriatric ass is going to sit there and put on Twitter. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Now, at the same time, these people they're talking about, we need to tax the rich. This is why Republican policies are far more effective. Say what you will about the Republicans. They are an extension of the globalists and the same special fucking interest as the Democrats are. However, they have a conducive policy as it pertains. It's, they're both operating under a fascist system. Whenever a Democrat calls you a fascist, say we live in a fascist economy that was ultimately installed by a damn Democrat. So, You can't sit there and point at any specific body and say, you're a fascist, because you look like an idiot. You know what I'm saying? Nobody takes your Antifa shit, your fucking social justice warrior commie fist shit seriously. We don't give a shit. Nobody in reality gives a shit. I understand that you got a little echo chamber in your little cul-de-sacs where you're sitting there having a barbecue and everybody says, oh yeah, we need more socialism, because it's stupid. You don't know what the hell you're doing. You're not qualified at your job, and this ends up being the issue. So no. Alright? You don't need that. It doesn't matter, because for the most part, these 1%ers that they're talking about, these global corporations like your fucking Elon Musks and your Jeff Bezoses and your damn Bill Gates and shit, they're never going to be taxed because they're not considered citizens of the United States. They're considered global citizens. You know what I'm saying? So they're not having to pay for the tax. The only ones you're taxing are the hardworking Americans here in this country and those people who create jobs. And ultimately, this is what the Democrats are. They're like fucking Sheriff of Nottingham. They're going ahead and taking your money out of your pocket, out of your paycheck before you even see it. The Democrats are saying, I need that money. And they're not giving it to, they're taking your money, a productive member of society. They're taking the money out of your employers and stuff that create jobs and create a product that contribute to society, to go ahead and give it to people who have, contribute either very little or don't contribute at all to society. Here is the secret. They went ahead and created this Obamacare. The price of healthcare goes up. Why? The price of healthcare should have went down over the years. Higher quality, more technology, should be more efficient, should have more people in the field and whatnot. We should have more access to it organically. We don't need the government's involvement for that to happen. That would have happened organically in a capitalist system. Not only would your healthcare be cheaper right now and more efficient, you would get a higher quality because there's an incentive in a capitalist system for quality, for for low cost and stuff. You want more people to come in and purchase your product and your brand than you do fucking less. That's how a capitalist works. So, capitalism would have effectively already drove down the cost of healthcare. Healthcare would be affordable out of pocket. You would be able to go ahead and not only just get medicines, because this healthcare isn't incentivized because it's commie care. It's commie care. They're not incentivized to cure your shit. They're incentivized to keep you dependent on the goddamn system. So you don't get the same quality of healthcare as you used to get back in the days. So, this is what you get with the Democrats. This is what they do. They believe in this regressive mindset of socialism, state dependency from people who are not, and it's pushed by people who are not going to contribute anything. This is why they don't really succeed in a lot. This is why they got their ass kicked in the culture wars, as they call them. The little thing that we went back and forth on the internet to go ahead and get Trump elected in 2016. With everybody going out doing videos, you had more independents out there, more independent content creators doing their shit, offering their opinions, putting out a better product here on YouTube, putting out a better product there on Twitter, having more traffic on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and whatnot. The product was better. It's just a superior product. The fucking social commie-crats cannot go toe-to-toe with people that are independent, constitutional, capitalistic, that they just can't. They can't compete. They can't compete on the same market. They have to censor everything. So this is what happens. You know what I'm saying? They have to censor everything. They have to control everything. This is the America that you Democrats want, because it doesn't seem too appealing to all the fucking normies out there. I can pretty much guarantee you, because Twitter would be having, whoa, #1 trend right here at 14,000 trends. That doesn't make any sense. The traffic on Facebook is essentially dead. I know people who've deleted their accounts altogether. There's like almost no traffic there's not a lot of traffic here on YouTube, honestly. I see more views on people getting more views on Rumble. You know what I'm saying? Than the people that are getting views on YouTube. More people are going to Rumble now. Hell, I'll be honest with you, I listen to Rumble whenever I go to work. I'm listening to Rumble. Whenever I'm at work, I'm usually listening to Rumble. Why? Because I don't have to worry about commercials every 5 seconds. State Farm is there. Or you'll sit there and have somebody talk about, do a fucking product for a damn drug line. Oh, this covers up that I have AIDS, so it's easier for me to give AIDS to somebody else. Or they'll have some other freaking Melissa McCarthy come out there and do a fucking Travel.com commercial. You know, it's a cheap product and stuff like that. And you people can't sell your fucking products. Shouldn't be in the business of these positions anywhere, not even just in government. You should not. I mean, when you're hiring a socialist, you're hiring somebody who couldn't accomplish anything other than stealing and wasting people's time. That's all they've ever accomplished. So to have these people, like you look at Disney right now, and you look at the ESG market, they've had 12 flops come out in Hollywood right now. This shows you the success of socialism. This shows you had to make up. And the one thing that really pisses them off is that The Sound of Freedom, an independent film, ended up getting pretty good, and it's still being released overseas. So understand that number that they're not telling you, that $200 million that it's already drawn on the $14 million budget, which, you know, it was a great thing that these people invested their time that they could go ahead and get that movie made and put out at $14 million. But that movie that Disney scrapped, that these socialists fucking, oh yeah, diversity, equity, and inclusion, how that movie ended up beating your movie, Indiana Jones, and pretty much every other movie up until date, until you went ahead and decided that you were going to drop $1 billion into a fucking Barbie movie that nobody is even remotely interested in, and then you'll claim, oh, Barbie's drawing at the box office. That's how far the media has fallen. So these people are incapable of telling you any kind of real, honest, rational, reasonable shit. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, this is what you're getting out of the Democrats. You know, so they want you to subsidize everything. They want a percentage of your check. And ultimately what ends up happening, and this is the issue that they get themselves into, because the state, the government, ends up going ahead and taking on more liability year after year. We need CHIPS programs, we need DACA, we need this, and we need that. And we need to create an agency of this and an agency of that. And then they create more government jobs. Here is the issue with a government job, is that a government job comes with a government pension. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, if you're hiring for a government job, you're going to want somebody that's going to stay there for as long as they can. You want them to go ahead and retire at the government job. You want them to stay there because they'll grow into that job. They'll be 20 years old. They'll know how to do the job. So you hire somebody. Let's say you hire somebody at 22, 24 when they get out of college. They spend working there 20 years. They retire at 44. They get full government pension and whatnot for their services and whatnot, and then they retire at 44. All of a sudden, you get another person in there. They get in, 24 years old. They spend 20 years. 44, you know, they retire. The person that's now 44 is now 64. They're still drawing their pension. And all of a sudden, you know, you got two people. So that, say it was $60,000 a year. Now that $60,000 a year job at, you know, 75% pension, whatever the fuck they would make, is now like $120,000. And you do that enough times, well, then you can see how the deficit keeps growing and growing and growing and growing, and it metastasizes into a larger debt. And this is how they do their economy. They take on too much liability. They're almost like fucking drug addicts. They're liars, they're cheats, they're drug addicts. You know, this is the people that you're putting in charge. And, you know, regardless if they're doing the actual drugs, and we know they're liars, they lie about fucking everything. And, you know, so these are the people that you really want in charge. You can sit there and say what you want to about the Republicans, but at least the Republicans have plans. They're conducive. We can sit there and see the effects of tax cuts. These people believe that you don't deserve any of your checks and they know what to do. But you're talking about people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You're talking about Ilhan Omar. Look at how fucking sane these people are. Do you believe that they should be entitled to that much of your check? Do you believe that they could spend your check better than you can? Is the honest answer. And ultimately, a lot of these problems with $5.8 trillion that you go ahead and pull in annually at this point of tax revenue, you know, they sit there and talk about, oh, well, you know, we could have free this and we could have free that. You would already have free this and free that. They already pull in more than enough to subsidize the poverty level. That's like $150,000 per person living in poverty. That's absolutely fucking insane. This is all going to the government. And the one thing that you've got to understand, and I don't give a fuck what anybody will tell you, you'll go ahead and make a damn socialist cry, a commie cry whenever I tell you this. But it's the absolute truth. A capitalist dollar is worth more than a socialist dollar. Because for that capital dollar, to earn that capital dollar, I'm going to go ahead and increase the best quality at the cheapest, more effective price and do the job more efficiently. The socialist has no more competition. It doesn't provide anything of any real They only have to provide substance. They don't have to provide quality. That's all the socialist has to deliver is its substance. But it's not going to be of any kind of quality, and they don't have to guarantee it because they don't have any competition. You understand what I'm saying? So this is the policies that they want to pass. This is the Democrat Party as a whole. So whenever you go ahead and look at their districts and the high crime rates that they have, they can't even run a city. You understand their progressive values and shit? Look at the state of California. It doesn't work. You look at the high crime rates in Oakland. Now they'll sit there and tell you, oh, these red states have higher crime rates. That's only because we still prosecute crimes. A number of the crimes in California, they don't even prosecute or consider crimes anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's absolutely absurd. At the end of the day, this is absolutely absurd. The party is ultimately that much of a garbage. It's that much of a garbage. It's that much garbage that they're unelectable. At this fucking point, for any fucking independent and any normie, they see the shit that's going on. They're going to see the shit with inflation. You already see the effects that that's having on the economy. Burger King, they're looking at probably going, I'm putting this out here for posterity purposes in case it happens. I hope it doesn't happen, but Burger King is, potentially going to go ahead and file for bankruptcy. You have Yellow Freight, they're probably going to go under. You have Tyson Chicken, and look at Disney right now. They're talking about selling to Apple. This is what these left-wing socialist bullshit artists deliver. This is what they deliver. You look at the shit with Bud Light. They'll be lucky if Budweiser can go ahead and maintain its job. So you're going to have a lot of these jobs start to go ahead and collapse. And a lot of it has to do with these with the Inflation Reduction Act that they implemented to go ahead and raise the taxes on these institutions and to go ahead and put a lot of these private market things so they can go ahead and take communist control of this country. It's going to be interesting to see the effects of that, being how we still have a Second Amendment and we're going to have a pissed off country here pretty soon, particularly if your inflation with your Keynesian economics still goes on. But this is what they deliver. This is exactly what the Democrats deliver, and I don't give a shit what some generic ass little fucking college grad that went to fucking Grand Canyon University and got a fucking degree in looking at Peters and shit, what he's gonna sit there and say, to be honest with you. So it's gonna be interesting. Like I said, you're gonna have a lot of people lose their jobs. However, with that being said, the Democrat Party has not been the Democrat Party. They're not the legitimate Democrat Party, to be honest with you. They're not a Democrat Party at all. Because what is a Democrat Party? A Democrat Party means, a democracy means majority rules. And for you to be a Democratic Party, you would have to be the party of democracy, right? You'd have to be the popular party of the majority. The Democrats the party of majority. Let's go ahead and take a little history lesson right here. So here I got pulled up the 1968 presidential election. This race was pretty close. Nobody got the majority vote in this election, by the way. But we could already tell that the United States was starting to go this way. Why did you have this swing towards the Republicans from the 60s, where the white nationalists, which were the Democrat Party, by the way, the Democrat Party is the national party. They are the federal party. You look at DC. DC has never. They've had a electoral vote. They've never went Republican. This is because it's full of those state institutions. The Democrat Party are the party of fascists. They're the party of communism. I've already explained this. They believe in big government. They believe in financing these government institutions. And if your job depends on the government, the Democrats being in office, then you're going to vote Democrats because you're beholden to the government. That's just how it works. So, they've never voted for Republican. DC will never go Republican. So that's the national party. The Democrat Party is the national party. So we can see right here that the tide started to turn against the Democrats from the 60s, and this is when they started to panic. They started to panic after this started to happen. So they ended up losing the 1968 after desegregation, and of course, if you're a commie-crat, a Dixiecrat and shit, burning a fucking fiery cross and waving a Confederate flag like a complete and utter fucking lunatic, you know, ooh, we need to hang all blacks and shit. And mind you, it's those fucking Dixiecrats that were that. That's not my fucking, it's not my fucking, you know, that's not my group. You know what I'm saying? Whenever you're doing that shit, you know, they're not going to vote for you. They're going to be less likely to vote for you. So we started to see that paradigm shift to the Republicans in the 60s, late 60s, early 70s. Then we go in 1972. Look at this absolute ass whooping that Richard Nixon put on McGovern right here. He won 60% of the votes. That tells me that that's the democracy right there, voting for a Republican right there. You see what I'm saying? This is when they were absolutely terrified. I don't believe in the Watergate scandal. I don't believe that Nixon went ahead and sent some agents and shit to go ahead and check. Because why the fuck would you go ahead and check out a loser, jobber ass fucking party like the Democrat Party who can't put up a qualified candidate? You know what I'm saying? Why would you have to sit there and spy on that party whatsoever? You can see the absolute ass whooping of 520 electoral votes to 17 that Nixon put on McGovern. There was no need to go ahead and spy. And they already had the democracy on their side. So not only were they the Republican Party, now they are the Democrat Party. But of course you had all your little propaganda agencies drop this shit on Nixon. So you ended up stealing an election with Jimmy Carter. Now that was a really close election, and if your fucking propaganda sources had that much influence over the rest of the fucking country, that election would have been a blowout. But it was really, really close. And it's one of those ones where I got in a debate with my supervisor and I was sitting there saying, I don't know if he really won the election. I'm not saying that fucking Jimmy Carter was a horrible president. I'm saying he's incomplete. He could have been a great fucking president. I don't know. I doubt it. Looking at some of the shit that they were trying to get involved in with Iran, I doubt he would have been a good president. But America was tired of this shit. And ultimately, this is what led to this ass whoopings right here. To all of these ass whoopings. Because up until this point, right here, with Nixon, right? The Democrats got us into World War I. They got us into World War II. They got us into Korea. And they got us into Vietnam. They got us into every major war conflict up until this point. Was the Democrat Party getting us into those conflicts. It was a Democrat administration, a Democrat Senate, and a Democrat Congress at the same time, with a Democrat president. And people were tired of the shit by this point in time. You know, the Republicans had an idea on how to restructure the economy and how to go ahead and bring wealth back to this country. It's exactly what the fuck they did. And this is what happened. You had President Reagan come in the following year. Gets you know, he gets a little bit more than 50%. Now, granted, it's not as much as I would consider a super majority, but, you know, ultimately he gets 50.7%. Wins in an absolute ass whooping over Jimmy Carter right here with less than 50 electoral votes. 489 to 49. An absolute ass whooping. However, with that being said, you know, so we could tell that, you know, Jimmy Carter, we can go and question that election that he beat, because he barely beat Ford, for this ass whooping right here. We go into 84, what do we see? Holy shit. Nixon almost matches that 60% by, Reagan almost matches that 60% that was done by Nixon. 525 to 13 electoral votes. Well, actually, it's probably 14 with the vote of DC that always goes to the commie-crat because they're the communist fucking party. And so 58%, we could see that they are not the fucking majority. They are not the Democrat Party. We go in with President George Bush gets a respectable 53%. Still has the majority of the votes. You're not the Democrat Party. Michael Dukakis manages 45.7, which is pretty decent for a Democrat at this fucking point in time. Not completely fucking horrible, but still gets his ass whipped with 426 electoral votes to 111, plus the 10 from DC, I guess. And we'll go on to the next one. Then you get the Bill Clinton vote. Now here's where everything gets thrown into the thing. Everybody claims that Bill Clinton was this popular president. Everybody loved Bill Clinton, and Bill Clinton was all of this. It's their darling, you know. It's the fucking John Kennedy 2.0. However, whenever you look at these results, right? I was a Ross Perot guy, and the thing about Ross Perot was more conservative than the Republican Bush was. Republican Bush was really talking a lot about the NAFTA shit and doing these trade agreements and getting us involved, and Clinton was the one that went ahead and signed off on them and delivered on them. So if fucking Ross Perot, I could tell you, even if I was to give $2 million maybe to Clinton of that Ross Perot, a majority of it would go to George Bush. And George Bush would have probably won by a bigger fucking ass whooping than he beat Dukakis by. Because Clinton got less of the votes than Dukakis did. And I can guarantee you that if the Democrats really thought that, oh, Bill Clinton was the answer to the Republican Party, these fucking Ross Perot votes are not voting for fucking Ross Perot. They're voting for Bill Clinton. But that's not why Ross Perot was more conservative. So those votes right there would go to George Bush, and George Bush would have annihilated Bill Clinton worse than he beat Michael Dukakis. It's the only reason that he won. And I was a Ross Perot guy. I voted for Ross Perot my first year in '96, which brings us into the following year. Bill Clinton barely beat Bob Dole. He barely beat Bob Dole if you count in the Ross Perot vote, which is who I voted for. Now, you know, ultimately, because you look at these votes right here, that's 8 million votes spread out over the 50 states. They could have won like a New York for Bob Dole, which would have changed the election. They could have won a Florida. You know, those 8 million votes could have been spread out all over the country, and maybe it's a tighter race than it was. At this point in time, Bill Clinton won 379 to 159, but they were not the party of democracy still. They can still not cross over that 50% margin. Now we go into the first ballot dumping. Well, that's the same one. We go into this one right here where they had to dump a lot of ballots. I think that they did dump a lot of ballots in this. They went ahead. Bush won the election. Now, you can sit there and say what your Bush. The one thing I don't like about Bush is his fucking domestic policies regarding the National Defense Authorization Act. You know, his diplomatic policies, he was kind of meh on. His economical policies, he was absolutely fucking genius. There was probably, the outside of Reagan, there was probably not a better president in my lifetime on economics than it was for Bush. Now, whenever you're talking about your local and how society interacted with each other, the country was more unified under President Bush. You know what I'm saying? They were more unified. They had common interests, common goals, and shit like that. You had a lot of shit moving forward. So, he wasn't completely the most horrible president. However, great in talker, great at giving speeches, very eloquent, kind of could communicate with you on a personal level. I don't think that Al Gore beat George Bush in the popular vote. I honestly don't. The Clinton administration was ultimately shit. The only reason why Clinton had that surplus that you talked about is because that the Congress went back to being Republican right before the bubble collapse, which is a large part of the problem that Bush had and why he went ahead and pushed a lot of your fucking policies and that National Defense Authorization Act. Ultimately, that was the death knell of fucking George Bush's presidency. If that doesn't happen, if you don't have the 9/11 shit happen and them fucking doing the anti-terrorist bullshit, then ultimately Bush is probably one of the best presidents in United States history. Unfortunately, he's going to be looked at as one of the worst, but he wasn't the complete and utter worst and the utter garbage. So then the Democrats get their feelings hurt where George Bush gets just over 50% of the vote. So we can see right now that the Democrats are not getting 50% of the vote. So they're not really the party of democracy now, are they? You can't be the party of democracy if you don't have the majority on your side. get into the Obama. Finally, you get over 50%, and I do believe that this is an election that they wouldn't have had to rig. The Obama presidency tells me more about America than it does about the Democrat Party. Now, I myself never voted for Obama. Obama was a fucking commie-crat, and I don't like Marxist policies. I don't believe that these people are capable of running a country, and I certainly don't really give a shit what they think about, oh, we need this universal this and universal that. Oh, fuck you. You don't know how to fucking, you don't have any real good, rational, logical, sound policies to go ahead and institute. We can sit there and tell by your own fucking cities. You can't even run your own lives. A progressive can't even take care of itself. That's why he's trying to get you to go ahead and give up more of your fucking income and your resources and tax dollars so he can simply exist. And then they want to go ahead and instruct you on how you should live your life. When you start paying your own fucking shit, then you can go ahead and instruct me on how I should live my life. But I do believe that Obama did win this legitimately. This is one of the few times I do believe the Democrats, because he was well-spoken, kind of sounded like The Rock. I, found that more appealing about him than anything, because I'm a big fan of The Rock. But I can't deal with your communist bullshit. So I didn't vote for him, and I didn't vote for McCain either, because he's a socialist, so that's a commie light. So I voted for a third party for fucking, what's his name? The damn weed guy. What was his name? Gary Johnson. I voted for Gary Johnson. And so, that's who I voted for. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to vote for either one of these commie crats. And so, ultimately, that was it. That was the only time in that many years that the Democrats won a popular vote. And then it just went down after that. So, they're not really Democrats. The Democrat Party is not really the Democrat Party. So, you're asking me, if they're not the Democrat Party, and the Republicans are still called the Republican Party, but they have a majority behind them, then what are the Democrat parties? Well, what did I already say that they are? They're nationalists, right? Didn't I say that they were nationalists? Isn't that one of the things that I said? And then I said that they were socialist, right? So they're national socialists. So what's a national socialist? The Nazis. The Democrats are Nazis. And you look at the propaganda that they put out, you look at these radicalized Antifa sources, the LGBTQ, the BLM bullshit that they have going in, burning down your communities, going ahead and threatening you, going ahead and saying you can't wear a Trump hat or you can't fucking fly a fucking Republican. I can do what the fuck I want to. Whenever one of your little fucking motherfucking Antifa guys want to come up to me face to face, we can go ahead and sort this shit out. But I'm not playing your stupid game. If your ass gets hurt, your ass gets hurt. I'm not responsible for your stupidity. But that's ultimately what they are. They are the party of Nazis. So when they're going out calling you Nazis, whenever they're calling you racist, when they're calling you fascist, they're calling you everything that they are. And it's not even up for debate. They cannot even debate this anymore. They can't, because they know exactly what the fuck they are. And so whenever you, like I said, they don't have much of a following right now. You look at the views on YouTube. This may get like 13 views on YouTube. You know, it's not going to get very many views on Facebook, probably. You'll probably come across it, and it's already 38 minutes long. Watch about 10 minutes of it. Okay, sounds interesting. Twitter, nobody follows my ass on Twitter enough to watch this shit anyways. But ultimately, this is exactly what they are. Yes, the Democrats are Nazis. They are the fucking Nazi party. That's exactly what they are. They could sit there and dismiss it. They could sit there and make up excuses. They can go ahead and tell you lies, because that's all they can do is sit there and lie, bitch, piss, and moan, and sit there and accuse you of something that they're doing themselves. So ultimately, I'm going to do a video on the MAGA and tell you why the MAGA party is just as bad, but I wanted to go ahead and do this video on Democrats first. I've got a bunch of videos. The damn Trump video is going to be... It's going to take a lot longer because I've got videos and stuff I got to go ahead and address. So I wanted to go and get this one out here. So you people tell me what you think. What do you think of the Democrat Party? If you are a Democrat, why are you voting Democrat, to be honest with you? Because they're not in your best interest. They're not. Effectively, we could do more with this country. We need to go back to more capitalism. Like I said, the capitalist dollar is always going to be worth more than the socialist dollar every fucking time. The fucking socialist dollar is monopoly money. There's no quality coming out. There's no quality. That's what it is. They can't contribute anything. They're not going to contribute anything to society. So why are we listening to these people? We should have a fucking litmus test for fucking voting, to be honest with you. You should be required to hold down a job too before you could vote. But with that being said, yeah, what do you think of the Democrat Party right now? You tell me what you think. You like, follow, sub, do the shit the internet tells me to do to get over. And for now, I'm out.